and we're here today to talk about which characters are the best, ranking them from 8 all the way to the number 1 spot, and possibly letting you know if you haven't gotten the Kickstarter, which expansions should you be getting, if you should be getting them, unless you're a collector like me, and you're going to go ahead and get all of them. So, without a doubt, let's jump to number 8. All right, coming in at number 8 is Black Panther with a hero complexity of 2. I wanted Black Panther to be a little bit better. He just seemed very weak up front with all of his attacks doing 6 or less 1, which is his large trait, which puts you at 8. His defense is probably the worst defense in the game. He only has 1 defensive roll, and the only thing that he can do is deal damage back. And you have to roll a 1, 2, or 3 in order to be able to get that using the 3 dice. Only status effects are kinetic energy and vibranium suit, which in the long run don't really do much for you either. So kinetic energy you get every time that somebody deals damage back to you, you get 1 kinetic energy, and kinetic energy will stack up to 8. So after every stack of 2, you deal 1 additional damage. So you can do up to 3 additional damage before essentially his kinetic energy bursts, causing you 5 undefendable damage. He gets to draw 2 cards and gain 2 CP from the explosion of his kinetic energy, which is good, but it does take a while to get that kinetic energy up. But there is an upgrade to his passive ability, which allows you to lower the stack limit from 8 to 7, which makes it you get 1 less kinetic energy before he explodes, which at the end of the day, is a big deal if you are playing with Black Panther. Although Black Panther does have a maximum ultimate damage of 16, which is one of the higher ones in the game, because he does do 11 damage. He does get 3 kinetic energy from it, which then, let's say you're at 0, you do get, damage over time built into that. And you gain a vibranium suit, which the vibranium suit will allow you to prevent 3 damage on any attack. So undefendable, any kind of damage, you can use your vibranium suit and soak up 3 of the damage. So with a total damage either reduction or infliction of 16, which isn't bad compared to some of the others. All right, coming in at number 7 is the god of mischief himself, and that is Loki. Loki has a lot of things going for him, but at the end of the day, they just don't seem valuable enough. And as far as the damage that Loki does, his base damage maxes out at 8. Even his defensive role, they're not really that good, and I'll get into why they're not good, because the only thing that he can get out of his defensive role is either spellbound, a bag of tricks, illusion, or you can draw a card. There is no prevention and there is no deal damage back. Let's talk about some of his passive abilities. His illusion. The way illusion works is that you're going to get 3 cards. One of them is going to say success, partial success, and fail. And you're going to shuffle those. You're going to let your opponent pull one out. If he succeeds, he gets to fully hit you. If he partially succeeds, you take half damage. And if he fails, then you get no damage whatsoever, which is kind of good, but it's very, very luck dependent. And then bag of tricks. Bag of tricks at the end of the day, if you roll a 1, you lose 1 CP, no matter who you are, whether it's me or the opposition. And 2, if you roll a 2 through a 5, then if it's the bag of tricks is on me, well then I gain 2 health and I gain 1 CP. But if it's on my opponent, they take 2 damage. And then no matter who the bag of tricks is on, if you roll a 6, that player gains 2 CP. And the next is Spellbound. Spellbound is an ability where you can cast it on your opposition, and what it does is it blocks one of his offensive abilities. And you can cast Spellbound up to 3 times, but the only way to do it up to 3 times is either you save him up, or you can do Confundle, which gives you 2, or you pull off your ultimate, which allows you to put out 3. But at the end of the day, covering up 3 of his 7 possible offensive abilities just doesn't seem potent enough compared to some of the other passive abilities that are out there. So at the end of the day, Loki does have a pretty big ultimate with an ultimate total damage of 18, and you do have the chance of cutting your next attack on you to half or zero damage. So, it could be, a nice ultimate, but having a nice ultimate and having not much else and everything else based on luck doesn't really put Loki high up on the list. So that is why Loki comes in at number 7. If you made it this far, can you please hit the like and subscribe button? I cannot grow this channel without you. Coming in at number 6 is Thor, the God of Thunder himself, with a hero complexity rating of 3. So Thor is by far one of the strongest heroes in this game, with base hits of up to 9 and 10. The downside is that they're all defendable hits. So it kind of makes this character, open to a lot of, return damage or being able to get a lot of that damage prevented. So, there's a give or take aspect there. As far as his defense goes, he does have a really good defense. If you do roll your helmets of Thor with 3 of your dice, you can prevent up to 6 damage, which is really, really good. I think it's one of the highest preventing damages out of any character in this game. The problem is that his positive status effects that he has only impact himself, and there is no negative status effects that he can give to anybody else. And the only negative status effect, which it's not even a negative status effect, is it's his ability to throw Mjolnir at other players. So let's just go ahead and break down his status effects real quick. 1, guard break. Seems great, but you have to roll a 1, 2, or 3 in order to turn any one of your hits into an undefendable hit. As far as electrical kinesis goes, which is the second positive status effect, that allows you to draw a card at 3 electrical kinesis with a max limit of 4, which that power doesn't seem that great, because for you to be able to throw Mjolnir or retrieve Mjolnir, unless the game tells you to do it, like, you have to pay cards in order to get it back. And throwing Mjolnir only does 1 undefendable damage. Like, it's not even that important to throw it because you're only hitting them for 1. Like, I don't understand why throwing the best hammer in the world only does 1 damage. So at the end of the day, like, Thor is great. He does a lot of damage, and his ultimate is probably one of the best just base damage deals, which is at 18, because you do 14 undefendable damage, and then you are allowed to throw Mjolnir, up to 4 times. So, which is nice. But other than that, like, Thor is pretty just meh. So, great introductory character, but if you're going to want anything with a little bit more meat, you're going to want to go up the chain. So that is Thor. All right, coming in at number 5, it's Captain Marvel with a hero complexity of 2. Getting into her status effects. Her Cosmic Ray, one of the best things in this game as far as damage attack modifiers. And basically it allows you to roll 2 dice. And if you get a 6, well, then you add 6 damage onto, whatever you roll, you add that damage onto your next offensive attack, which is great because, if you're rolling 4, 5s, and 6s, you get to, amplify her 7s, up to an 11, 12, or 13, which puts her right up there at the biggest damage dealing in the game. She also has Cosmic Flare. Cosmic Flare is one of those things that you get to use in the upkeep phase. And depending on how many Cosmic Flare you have is depending on how much damage you get to give to everybody at the table, unless it's your teammate. But, you can stack up to 3 Cosmic Flares. And if you have 3, then you're dealing 3 damage to everybody. If you have 2, 2 damage, 1 damage, so on. So Cosmic Flare is going to be really good for you if you can get these things stacked. Her other status effect is going to be a positive one, and it's for your defense. So we haven't talked about her defensive role, which is not the worst in the game, but it does at least give you the ability to prevent and deal damage. The trick is you have to be able to roll 6s. So you get 4 dice to be able to do it, and you have to roll 6s in order to get the deal damage to and back. But her Radiance with the stack of 2 will allow you to, if you have 2 of them, then you can change 2 of her dice to a 6, and then you can do 2 damage to them and, prevent 2 damage coming back. Captain Marvel has probably the best ultimate in the game. She does a base undefendable damage of 12. She gives you 2 Cosmic Flares, which is a total of 3 damage over 2 turns. She gives you radiance, which allows you to get up to deal 2 damage to, or get 2 damage back off, and then a cosmic ray, which you have the possibility of doing another 6. So that's almost a positive total of 23 damage if you are lucky enough to get it. So bringing Captain Marvel's like ultimate, possibly the best in the game. Coming in at number 4 is Spider-Man with a hero complexity of 2. So Spider-Man, I feel like, wants to be one of the most balanced that there is out there, but it takes a little bit to balance him out. Up front, his base damage is pretty low. I think his biggest one is an 8, but most of the other ones are like sitting at 5 and 7, so you don't get much initial damage. But that's not that bad. Because his defensive abilities will allow you to deal damage back to the defender, and it will also allow you to cut half of the damage in half if you roll right. Some of the other things to make up for the lack of damage that he has in some of his base is one of his positive status effects, which is combo. So combo is probably like the second or third best positive status effect in this game. Combo allows you, after your first offensive roll, you get to roll again. So it's like 2 for the price of 1 when it comes to combo hit. So whether he does 5 damage or 7 damage, once you're able to do 1 and 2 different hits, now you're looking at 10, 12, 14 damage possibilities coming out of your turn. So like Spider-Man at the end of the day doesn't look that bad, and gaining combo is not that hard. Now, as far as his actual attacks, he only has one of them that's undefendable, which is where webbed comes in. So webbed is his negative status effects that he gets to put on his opposition, and what that does is it allows his next offensive attack to be completely undefendable, which is going to work in your favor, because out of all of his attacks, it's only one, and it's his Venom Punch, the one where you need 4 6s, and it's the one where you're 1 shy of your ultimate anyway. One of the other things that he has going for him is what's called invisibility, because this is the Miles Morales version of Spider-Man, not the Peter Parker. Miles Morales has invisibility, which allows him to, so if you play invisibility, you actually get a chance to defend against undefendable damage. So this is the only character in the game that gives you that ability to defend undefendable damage if you have invisibility token. So at the end of the day, where Spider-Man does seem a little lopsided, more defensive heavy, like his offense comes back with combo, his webbed comes back with you being able to, not give the other people the chance to be able to attack, and then visibility, having that option to be able to defend against undefendable damage makes Spider-Man one of the most complete and balanced characters in this game, and a great place to start if you were trying to learn Marvel Dicethrone. All right, coming in at number 3 is going to be Black Widow. Black Widow has a hero complexity rating of 4. Up front, her base damage is not very high. You got 6, 7s, 7's a lot what you see on the board. But Black Widow starts the game off with what is called Covert Ops. It is her unique status effect, and she gets 3 of those right off the bat, which allows you to dig through your deck, top 5 cards, and then you get to play any offensive abilities that you have in there for free. So you are constantly trying to upgrade her abilities throughout the game, because the more abilities that you upgrade, the better it is. So on her defense, for example, her defense is not that great. You get to roll 3 dice, but you can, deal 3 damage, or you can prevent 3 damage, or you can inflict a time bomb. If you have 4 offensive abilities upgraded, now you get to re-roll one of the dice or any of the dice at least one more time. So like if you're really trying to do something and you really want something, having that 4th ability will allow you to re-roll those dice. As far as agility goes, this is her positive status effect. So during the defensive part of the game, when you are trying to figure out how to prevent damage, you can use agility. And this will allow you to roll the dice, a 1 to a 3. So 1, 2, or 3, you get to prevent half the damage that's incoming. The time bombs are going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different abilities out of the 8 that she has on her board can inflict a time bomb on the opponent. And what the time bomb does is it forces your opponent to roll a dice. If he doesn't get a 6, the bomb explodes. Depending on how much time is left on the clock. When you throw the time bomb at first, it's 2. So in 2 rounds, the thing will explode if they do not get a 6. If you get your offensive abilities up to at least 6, then the bomb instantly starts off at 1 instead of 2. So then that means every single time that this thing is going off, and it has a stack of 2. With her being able to upgrade all of her damage to 8, 9s max, plus the time bombs going off, but an additional 4 damage, you could be constantly doing around 13 damage around with Black Widow, if you played your cards correctly or if they fall to you correctly, which brings her overall like power up on the board. One of the other things that is great about Black Widow is that her her max ultimate damage, is 14. Not necessarily the greatest in the world, but once again, 14 isn't bad. But she gets 2 ability upgrades for free. So you can dig through your deck, find 2 ability upgrades, and just throw them on the board. And that is one of the things that you want. Anything that gives you the ability to upgrade for free, anything that allows you to play those abilities, like that is what you want to be able to do. And she has a lot of them. All right, coming in at number 2 is going to be the Scarlet Witch with a hero complexity rating of 4. As far as her overall damage goes, she does hit up to 9 and 8s constantly, 7s. Like she does really good damage when it comes to like just her base traits. She also has a lot of that damage comes with a lot of her status effects. Even her defensive rolls, where I think she's the only one that I've seen that can roll 5 dice. And with the 5 dice, you can gain all of her status effects. Or if you roll 2 6s, you can also deal 4 damage back to your attacker, which is really, really good. When it comes to her status effects, probability manipulation. So you want to talk, the strong getting stronger. She can now turn any of her 2s, 4s, or 6s, and she can roll the dice up or down by 1. So if you're trying to get your straights, if you're trying to get anything, like you have the ability to manipulate your dice to get your rolls better with probability manipulation. The best negative status effect in the game, I feel like, is going to be, or one of the best. I think there's 2. You can fight it out. But it is reality warp. And what reality warp does is that if the opponent can't get rid of the reality warp, it makes them roll. So you have 5 dice. You have to take out one of theirs, and they have to put one of your dice in their hand, which limits what they can actually do. The other one is called Conjure. So once again, it has 2 different things that you can use. So you can either inflict reality warp again, or you have the ability to steal somebody else's positive status effect off of their board. So it really gives you the option on, do you want to inflict reality warp again? Do you want to steal something? So like if there's a combo out there, if there's any other good positive status effects, can you go steal them, bring them to you, and make you even better? So it really gives you a choice. So Conjure for Scarlet Witch it just seems overpowered. The fact that you can steal and or inflict reality warp again, which reality warp in my mind is still one of the best negative status effects in the game. The other positive static effect she had is called Crackle. So just when we thought that she might not be hitting hard enough with her 7s, 8s, and 9s on the board, you get to add Crackle. So for every status effect token that she has on her board up to 3, she can spend a Crackle and add additional damage to her hand. So her 9 can move up to 12 if she has more than 3 status effect tokens. So she is constantly hitting for that 9, 10, 11, 12 range in damage every single round. And she's constantly putting negative status effects on the opponent, which makes it hard to be able to actually attack back. And just when you thought that, you can actually get an attack back, her defense allows her to deal an additional 4 damage back or gain all these status effects. It's like a never-ending wave of just getting hit over and over and over again by the Scarlet Witch. And that's what makes her one of, if not the top tier at least, as far as these 8 heroes go. If you made it this far, can you please hit the like and subscribe button? I cannot grow this channel without you. At the top spot is Doctor Strange with a hero complexity rating of 5. And his base damage, he has a lot of base damage of 9. He has a lot of, be able to do this damage and then roll 2 dice and possibly deal more damage, possibly add negative status effects to it. So, like, there is no real bad base offensive attacks that he has. Even his defensive attack is actually really good. You can either deal 1 damage back or you can deal 3 damage back. So you can deal up to 6 damage at a time back to your opponent if you roll 2 sixes. You can even prevent up to 4 damage, or you can even gain premonition, which premonition is crazy because premonition allows you to get cards into your hand because you are constantly trying to be able to get more spells to put into your book. You're trying to discard spells so that you can have other spells will allow you to pull cards from your discard pile and play multiple spells. It's just a constant combination of how do you get things in places to where that you can utilize spells in your book. So let's just start breaking down what his status effects are. So we already talked about spells. It is his passive status effect. You do start out with 1, and there I think he has up to 9 or 8 spells that you can find throughout your deck and play. And they have a range of dealing more damage, getting CP, healing, certain things like that. They're all different, but they're all beneficial. Some of them even allow you to find more spells and cast 2 more spells. It's just like a constant combination of spell casting, which is nice. Crimson Bands is his negative status effect, and I think that this is once again kind of like Reality Warp. Crimson Bands could definitely be, in my mind, the best negative status effect out there, because at least with Reality Warp, I'm still able to play a card to remove Reality Warp if I wanted to. But what Crimson Bands does is it keeps your opponent from being able to play cards. So they cannot get rid of Crimson Bands. They will have to play with it. They do not get to play any cards this round, which is pretty difficult if you are trying to upgrade something, or you're trying to remove something, or you were trying to alter your dice in any way. So Crimson Bands, in my mind, is the best negative status effect in the game. And then Deja Vu, just when you thought that, it couldn't get any worse or it couldn't get any better. It's not as good as Combo, where you're able to, like, do an offensive move and then hit him and then do an offensive move, hit him again. Let's say that there's times where you're going for something big and you don't get it and you don't hit anybody. If you have Deja Vu, it allows you to redo your turn all the way over again. The only real negative, and it's not even really a negative because the possibilities coming out of it is crazy, is Doctor Strange's ultimate. The maximum damage that Doctor Strange can do is 10 in his ultimate. But the kicker is that he gets to cast 2 spells. And being able to cast 2 spells, you might be able to find the card that allows you to cast 2 more spells. So you might be able to cast up to 4 spells by using the 1 ultimate. That is my list from number 8 all the way to number 1. All right, thanks for your time today. That was it. That was 8 through 1. And I hope you guys have as much fun playing Marvel Dice Throne as I do. But if you've made it this far, please like and subscribe. I will also leave you a link to one of my other videos. So if you liked this one, you can go and watch it. I think I have a few Isle of Cats. Is it really still good? I got some, games for teens. I got some other videos out there that you guys might like. So please drop a comment if you think I'm wrong. Please drop me a comment if you think I have one of these heroes too low or too high. I would love to have a conversation. Thank you.